Can you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, good evening. Tonight is Tuesday, March 24th. We just came from executive session where we were discussing police policy.
Okay, so turn off sound on that.
We are going to start with our first presentation, our annual presentation on MS4, which we're all so thrilled about. But it is important that we do this, and important all of the things that we as a village do during the year to help keep our waterways clean.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the board. That is a true and factual statement that we take pride in maintaining the storm system. New York State Department of Environmental Conservation in 2024 rolled out a new general permit, which is a 5-year which has a 5-year lifespan, and over the 5 years is a progressive movement towards additional requirements. We are currently in year 2 of that permit, and we are working on our year 3 to 5 requirements at the moment moving forward. The MS4 permit requirements has a laundry list of items that we are required to maintain and actions that we're required to perform. Everything from maintaining our highway department, maintaining our catch basins, our storm drains, to our 110 locations where we discharge our storm drains into the brooks. There are new requirements that are coming down the pipeline that we need to monitor a certain percentage of those locations and take water samples. Okay, and if those water samples come back positive, we will now have to be required to backtrack that storm drainage infrastructure, find the pollutant, and clean all that infrastructure. There's additional requirements on staff with regards to training requirements, to record keeping, to having agreements for stormwater infrastructure on residential properties plus on commercial properties. Anybody in the village who currently has a commercial practice such as a stormwater retention basin, infiltration galleries, knows that we require annual reports, which are due this month into next month. That's a requirement. There are requirements moving forward that residential properties are going to have to be monitored every so often and have a plan moving forward. There are training requirements for staff that need to be met. Our highway department receives annual training every year. I receive a number of hours of training as well. There's also policies and procedures that building department will need to have in place in years 3 to 5, such as a construction management inspection plan. They're going to require mandatory pre-construction meetings. Those are just some upper level requirements that are required. Years 4 and 5 dive deeper into watershed mapping and GIS-based maps and infrastructure on a village level. So our watersheds, our drainage infrastructure, our pipes, our sanitary sewers all need to be shown on GIS. And fortunately, over the years, we have a lot of that information through local mapping grants and consortiums. We've done a lot of that work. So we are in a good position, but we are moving forward on that. So from a public perspective, when Public Works or staff at the Village Hall receives a phone call that there's murky water in the brook, there's discoloration in the brook, something looks off, it's a big deal. We basically stop what we're doing and we go and we investigate, and it could be an hour-long investigation, it could be a full day. So it's really important for us to follow up on these things, but it's also important for the public to be mindful that if you have a tradesman at your house, that they're not emptying a paint bucket, they're not washing their buckets with either cement or concrete out, things of this nature. People walking dogs, please don't throw those bags down the storm drain, because fecal coliform is the #1 thing we're going to be testing for. And you find fecal coliform, it's usually from that stuff. So, once again, that's going to trigger a full day of staff hiring a Vector truck to come and jet and clean those pipes. That's 2-3 days worth of work, So, but these are the new requirements moving forward, and we're trying to stay ahead of them and on top of them.
Thank you, Michael. And I'm assuming, as we move this along, I think as we're getting into warmer weather especially, and we're gonna want to make sure that we're putting this out publicly and making sure that people understand these things. I know we used to have those old posters from Seattle that remember when you're walking your dog, you're not just walking your dog.
Yes.
Those old posters. And
Some of them were kind of humorous, which is intentional, which is good.
It was intentional because it gets people's attention.
Focus, yeah.
But I think we really need to be in people's faces a little bit about this, and so that, like you said, someone has a contractor painting their bathroom. They're not sitting out there washing a bucket, dumping it down the storm drain.
And you said, I always try to tell people, I said, when you're putting into a storm drain, that's ending up in your neighbor's backyards eventually. Think of it that way. Whatever you're putting in there is going to be in somebody's backyard.
That is true.
What are other communities doing to educate their public about this? Because I see people dumping poop bags, okay, and I have said things, okay? And I don't know of anybody that has dumped paint, but I know that we've had discussions where we've seen trails of white on roadways, et cetera. What can we do? What have others done? Because clearly this is an educational outreach we have to undertake.
Correct. So it depends on the size of the municipality. Some municipalities are larger than us and have a lot more resources available. Obviously, anything on social media, anything on the internet, anything on the local channel is going to help. There is information in the new general permit that the DEC has, which we will be copying over onto our website, which we do have some information on there, but that's in a certain location on our website. So now, as we're getting into the springtime, we're going to want to emphasize these things and bring them out there. We did send out approximately 30 notices for annual inspections to all our larger entities. They receive anywhere from 5 to 10 handouts with that, okay, for what to do with regards to your fat, oils, and greases, what to do with your parking lots, what to do with your spoils of your sweepings. So they get those handouts as part of our email and mailers. From a public perspective, we have a poster in the back here that we have some handouts that we've handed out in the past, but we're going to look at other options and try to get either new flyers, new materials, or something up on our website.
If you're, Trustee Epstein is right, and we've tried to do that in the past. It's very difficult to get people to really focus on it, but if you remember, we used to have the circles on all the storm drains that drains to sound, drains to waterways.
I still have one outside my house.
They faded, they fade over the years, so sometimes you have to replace them. A lot of these were also efforts that were done by Liswick, part of the education for clean water, too. So that's, I'm sure a big part of Liswick is re-educating on these types of issues so that we have clean waterways and people don't do that and don't take actions like that. So, yeah, I'm hoping that will also have kind of new energy to help, because we could buy things in bulk that way. We'll have, 8, 9 communities that are all buying those things in bulk, which is helpful.
I think
some notes.
Yep.
I think that we should, if there are posters or PDFs available, we can put them out on Rybrook residents. I think that we should also perhaps have some discussion with the schools where they teach them in their classrooms during science, how important this is, and that way they go back home and have that discussion. Just an idea.
Yeah.
It's like that Smoky. Smokey the Bear. You have to hit everyone that you can with that information.
Gosh, I remember Robert Birthday, we once had a big setup of the whole street system, remember? And we got that, I think we borrowed that from the county.
borrowed.
And part of it is just get people to realize, people think when they go into those drains, they just disappear, and they're not. They're ending up literally in the stream, behind your neighbor's house, and getting people to make those connections are really important.
So why don't we have that for our birthday party again this year? Is it possible?
If they still have something like that, we can. Yeah.
Could ask.
Was it the,
Like the model.
the model of,
Then you pour it in a system and you see where all the systems flow.
The water,
You know
the
the whole,
structure.
I
yeah.
used to have something like that.
That's worth
Yeah.
pictures worth
Again,
a
it's probably
thousand.
through planning.
Possibly.
Yeah.
It was a while ago.
Let me know if you need me to help reach out, so.
Sounds
All right,
good.
well, thank
Sounds
you.
good.
Any
Thank
other
you.
questions or comments about the MS4?
Thank you.
Michael, a friend of mine who lives in Greenwich, in a small community within Greenwich, they have like baskets attached to telephone poles and stuff for people to drop their poop bags into these baskets. And then the baskets are cleared out, but at least they're not being thrown down into the sewer system.
And a lot of that's dependent upon staff having to then clean it out, so it's
I
be
understand.
tough to hit the whole village.
It's a
and-
question of which is worse.
Right.
Yeah.
It'll become apparent when we start testing. We'll see where we're getting hits. And then possibly doing a targeted approach, potentially, because possibly there are more people who walk their dogs in a certain part of the village. Maybe, I don't know. That may be a possibility. But yes, it does come down to, something like that comes down to a staffing level or a contract negotiation with our sanitation company.
I just have a quick question. So deer scat, that, obviously nobody's picking up after the deer. What happens? Does that goes into
It
the
may wash down,
waterways?
yeah,
Right.
be a,
I mean, I know it's a normal
very
course and
efficient
nothing's
flow.
going to happen, but does that shows up as coliform
With any
too?
of,
It may.
it may,
But
yeah.
there's
With any of
different,
the wild
it's
animals.
also, it's all different sources. If you think about your car, your cars are, when it rains, it's going into the storm drain. So everything off the street is going into a storm drain, which is ending up also in the same locations as those bags you were talking about.
And that's
So-
identified under the general
Yeah.
permit. What are your pollutants of concern? Okay, your silts, your sediments, your hydrocarbons, those are all identified already in our manual. And it's understood that some of that is going to be in there, because like you said, it rains and you drive in the car and you have a transmission leak, yeah, there's some residual, happens.
Okay, sorry.
No, sorry. All good questions.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
All right, so we have two public hearings on the agenda tonight. Moving to the first, public hearing number one. Public hearing on a proposed local law amending Chapter 8, Section 8 of the Village Code concerning architectural review board jurisdiction. So can I please have a motion and a second to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second. Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Hauser?
Yes.
Trustee Crom? Yes. And Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you.
Another
Chris, we got
Sure.
we had a little background on this last time when we were setting the public hearing itself. But if you could please go through the changes.
Sure. So the Architecture Review Board it's a very busy board. Heavy agenda, it's got a lot of items on there. And they found over the years, some of the applications are really just always approved for certain smaller type applications. So there's been a process where the ARB has been saying that there's certain ones, while they still need permits, maybe don't need to go to the ARB anymore. And there's a law that's been proposed based on those recommendations from the ARB, working with the building inspector. So here's the types of items we're talking about that would still require permits, but not need ARB approval, like permanent standby generators, on-grade patios, decks, walkways, in-ground pools, and the decking around the pool, landscape walls that are 30 inches or less, certain doorways, that are when you're replacing a door, replacing windows in kind, or if the size of the opening hasn't changed, basement egress windows and window wells, skylights and other like types of minor amendments of items that were already approved by the ARB. And I think I believe the last item was if something pops up that looks minor, the building inspector can contact the ARB chair, and if they agree that it's minor, they can move that forward without going to the ARB as well. So it's really an effort to get more efficient, more expeditious, save people money, but still have on items that are pretty much always approved by the ARB for those smaller type items. But again, it would still go through the permit review by the building inspector.
Thank you, Chris. And I think that's important to remember that this is still going through the permit
Yes.
review. So everything within this has to adhere to the code.
Yes.
And the way that the code is written. When I looked at this, the only thing that jumped out at me were the in-ground pools, and I'm assuming it's the pool itself and the decking, not the equipment, although I know that the equipment has to conform, there's certain setbacks on equipment.
Yeah, there's regulations on where it has to be located, yeah.
Right.
But the equipment wouldn't go to the ARB either, otherwise you'd just send the whole application.
Right, and
Yeah.
again, this is ARB is for the aesthetics, not for the permit itself. Any questions or comments from the board?
For windows where there's no change in size, why would it go before the ARB to begin with?
Well, in the past, if there was going through, say you're going from a flat window to a bay window, that's a change in architectural style, so that's why it was
But if
going in
you're
the
going
past.
from a flat window to a flat window,
I think if it's some have different designs, usually it's hard to find the same, when you're upgrading your windows, they're going to have a different look. So they're going to be, might be a 4-pane versus a 2-pane, or might be whatever. It's a change in design from what was originally on the plans. So I'm speculating, but I guess that's what it was for. And that's probably why it's always being approved,
Yeah.
I think that it will help the ARB, so I think it's a good thing, and the fact that it still has to go through our building department is a step that is positive for our residents.
Yeah.
And we know that this was discussed by the ARB as well as with our building inspector, and certainly most of these things are, not something that's going to have a major aesthetic change on a neighboring property or someone across the street. I don't think, a small wall,
No.
windows, for example.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's really going to notice. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, the swimming pool is a bit odd, because sometimes the swimming pools even ended up at the planning board, because, for a number of reasons, but like drainage reasons, and we had one at the planning board that was also discussed as a euphemism, but that was argued about for months, and, two neighbors were arguing about,
It was
and
the equipment, right?
it was everything.
it was everything. But, and I know that a lot of these pools don't end up needing to go before the planning board certainly, but it is the one that does jump out about, but presumably they must be like approving them all, so they're saying they never have any issues, so.
Well, and I would imagine
That's-
with a lot of this, because there's disturbance of the soil, like for an in-ground pool, there's disturbance of the soil, you're changing the site plan and the impervious so much,
And if
that
it's-
it probably is going to planning.
So if it was,
Water and stuff.
But this
that's
is,
what I was going to say too.
ARB is
It-
aesthetic.
It wouldn't stop it from having to still go to the planning board if it did in the
Right.
past. It's just the extra step of going to the ARB after the planning board process.
It's the aesthetics that they are approving, and
Right.
therefore, their choice is not necessarily your choice, but should you have a choice in what the tile is that they pick.
Right now, yeah.
So it's still going to planning board.
And they're talking about on-grade pool decks. If you end up with retaining walls that are above 30 inches, it's going to end up tripping somehow, yeah.
yeah, something that's really starting to have an
Yeah.
effect. Above-ground pool, you're going to be seeing from the neighboring properties.
And this is, no, so I'll trust that.
All right, well, I mean, I should have started with this, but this is a public hearing. If there's anyone from the public who would like to make any comment on this? Seeing none, any other comments from the board? Can I have a motion and second, please, to close the public hearing?
Come on, you guys can.
So moved. Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Hauser?
Yes.
Trustee Cohen? Yes. Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you, Chris. Let's go right into the resolution. So it's resolution number 3.
Okay, whereas a local law is introduced before the Board of Trustees of the Village of Rybrook to modify the village code concerning ARB jurisdiction, and whereas the Board of Trustees hereby classifies this as a Type 2 action pursuant to seeker, and therefore no further environmental review is required, and whereas in February 24th, 2026, the Board of Trustees held a public hearing at Village Hall to consider the local law, and that public hearing, it should be March 24th, right?
Yeah.
March 24th, and therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the above-mentioned local law, amending the village code regarding architecture review board jurisdiction.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Any further comment?
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Column? Yes. Mayor Klein?
Yes. Thank you, and we appreciate the efforts of the ARB and the building inspector looking into this matter and trying to make life easier on our residents while at the same time protecting our residents and those who live around them. So we appreciate all that effort. All right, public hearing number 2. Public hearing on a proposed local law amending Chapter 240 of the Village Code to authorize the impoundment. Sorry, whoa, my computer just did something funky there. Okay, sorry. Impoundment and/or immobilization of vehicles for delinquent parking tickets and to convert unclaimed abandoned vehicles to a village use. So can I have a motion and second, please, to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second. Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Column? Yes. Mayor Klein?
Yes. Thank you. And Chris, again, could you, I know we had a lengthy conversation at our last meeting. I know there was a meeting with the town of Rye since then. But can you go over why this came about and what this proposed law change means?
Yes. What came about was there's a lot of delinquent people that have not there's a lot of delinquent people that have not paid parking tickets, and that number which is issued by the Rybrook Police Department, but then it goes to the Town of Rye Town Court, and there's escalating fines that get issued for non-payment. So the town has implemented an improved procedure now whereby they notify based on, I think, 30, 60, 90, and then 122 days. And as part of that process, they are now sharing information with us, or can share information with us, regarding people who have repeated violations and people who have not paid parking tickets and issued multiple tickets. So what this local law would do would allow the police department to either impound or immobilize the vehicle who has multiple unpaid parking tickets, and then they could not recover that without paying basically the fees that are due to the Rye Town Court, which then gets turned over to the Village of Rybrook. And if you like, I think council would be the best person who drafted this local law, if you have any more specifics you'd like to touch on.
Please.
Yeah.
Thank you. So this law, we've made some edits since the board's last meeting. The first one is that this would only apply if someone has 3 or more delinquent parking tickets issued since January 1st, 2020. Delinquent parking ticket, just to recap, is when someone does not answer or pay parking ticket. When you're issued a parking ticket, you can either plead guilty or not guilty. If you plead not guilty, you would then go to court and plead your case with the special prosecutor or the judge, and they would then, decide how that ticket gets handled. So if someone at least pleads not guilty, this law would not apply to them because they've invoked that right. If someone does have these 3 or more parking tickets, a notice will be sent to them by the Rye Town Court. Once they have those delinquent tickets, the police department would then be able to immobilize or impound that vehicle. Notice would be sent to the last known registered owner, and then they would be able to redeem that vehicle by finally answering the parking tickets, coming going to court, answering the parking tickets, paying the fines for impound, and then the car would then be released back to them. So if there's any that's a very high-level summary of the law. So if there's any specific questions or concerns, I'd be happy to address that. I am currently the associate assigned as the special prosecutor for the village, so what I have seen, just kind of for some background, is typically people get impounded by Portchester, and then they sit across and speak with the Portchester special prosecutor, settle up all of their parking tickets, and then they move one seat over and speak with me, and then we discuss the nature of their parking tickets, and then, assuming we're able to come to an agreement, which typically we always are, they would then go before the judge, the plea gets accepted, and then they go to the window, pay the fines, and then can go pick up their car.
How is the decision made between immobilization and impoundment?
So that would be left to the discretion of the police department. They would have the option to either or immobilize or tow, or they could immobilize first. If nothing happens, then tow the vehicle. So I think it would have to be a case-by-case basis. There might be a certain circumstance when a vehicle it's impractical to try and winch it out of a parking spot to put it on a flatbed to tow it, and so placing an immobilization.
Or if it's parked in a fire lane or something like that, we may need to move it out of that fire lane to clear the roadway for an emergency.
Yeah, I just wouldn't want to see us being accused of being arbitrary and capricious.
I think it depends on that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it probably depends where the car is. A lot has to do with where the vehicle is. My personal opinion on this is that we are, that this is not something that happened overnight. You didn't just get 3 parking tickets yesterday and all of a sudden. This is something that comes with multiple notices. You've had multiple parking tickets and have decided not to pay them. I know there was a lot of conversation at our last meeting about this. I'd certainly like to continue any conversation. Trustee Crum.
Yeah, no, I've come around to saying I think this is a good tool to have. A lot of communities certainly have this option. But it does feel like it needs to be the last. It's a big step. People need their cars, especially in a suburban area like ours, to get to work. But I'm also realizing that and it's not the majority, but there's a pretty large number of people that are thumbing the nose of the law, let's say. So this is a good thing to have in our toolkit. Having met with the town of Rye, I have a couple comments, and the biggest one is probably the start date. We found out that due to some mergers and the record-keeping software, that there may not be absolutely fantastic records for certain periods. So I'm not very comfortable, let's say, starting the clock where we're not sure the data is excellent. So I would propose that we start at, say, January 1st, 2024, because we were told that they started to get comfortable with the records again in '23. And that's different from the issue about collections. I mean, going back and collecting is different than towing. I think towing is sort of the most drastic step. I mean, we can talk at a different issue about, pursuing people with collections. So I'm not saying that it's an absolute, I'm not suggesting we forgive all parking tickets prior to January 1st, 24. But I am suggesting that it's a good date to start the clock for the towing issue. So you'd have to have 3 tickets after January 1st of 24. Otherwise, we're going to get caught up in perhaps towing vehicles where the tickets are, we say they have 3, they say they don't have 3, et cetera. This is something we were told has happened in I'll call it the COVID period. So that's my biggest concern. As a technical thing, I realize there has to be a lot of coordination between us and the town court. For instance, in Section D, we talk about to get your car back, you have to pay Rybrook what you owe Rybrook. And I don't think, as a drafting matter, and we can correct this presumably, but I don't think, and maybe they do, but I don't think they owe Rybrook anything because it's the town court that is fining them. right, so I'm in section D1A, where it says what you have to do to get your car back. The first thing you have to do is says pay Rybrook everything you owe in fines.
But that would be for the tickets, the parking ticket.
Right, but I thought that the money is collected by the town of Rye. So isn't the question, do we have to pay Rye?
Trustee Crum raised some of these issues to me earlier, so I sent that to council, so I think council can
Okay.
help.
I'll stop there.
So when parking, yes, the payment is actually made to the town of Rye Court. Those monies or the villages, when someone is issued a parking ticket, all of the funds from that are actually owed to the village, and so in that circumstance, the town court is really acting kind of as an intermediary to pass along. But what we could do to clarify, to avoid any confusion, for D1A to strike out to the village of Rybrook, and it would just read all sums due to the village of Rybrook. That way, it's more of just them paying the sums due to the village, and avoiding any confusion that it's directly to the village.
I think that would help, and then maybe even put in a little bit of language about, and get a paid receipt from the court to show, like, because of the different jurisdictions, like, how do we know, what's the evidence that we're going to need? That everything's been paid in full, or is that just obvious?
It typically is obvious. What I've seen with what happens with Portchester individuals is they're actually given a receipt, it's approved, and it basically says your tickets have been satisfied, and it's like kind of a clearance form. And if there's any concerns, either when that person tries to redeem their vehicle, obviously staff can just call down and just confirm, did this person make payment?
Okay, my last comment is on section D2. There's a lot of requirements that you have to show a driver's license and insurance. If that's the case, then I'm not sure why you don't have to also prove your registration for the vehicle. But I also think, again, since, this is somebody's valuable property, if they want to bring a flatbed in, and isn't the issue that we want it to be lawfully removed? Like, isn't there an option to bring a flatbed in and, have your Maserati return back to your driveway?
So it is, the vehicle and traffic law speaks to the release of impounded vehicles, and it requires that it be released to someone that has the lawful right to possess the car so that it doesn't get taken by anyone. They also have to have a valid driver's license, even if the vehicle is not movable, and they also have to provide proof of insurance. No vehicle can be on the road unless it's insured. However, there is one slight exception for the insurance requirement, and that is if someone has surrendered their registration to the DMV. So we could provide kind of an exception to the insurance provision, or we could revise this section to just really reference the vehicle and traffic law, since that is what this provision is modeled after.
Well, I think it was nice referencing the traffic law, some other law versus trying to recreate it in case it changes. And it has nuances that we're not capturing, but that's just my personal opinion. So going back, and then I'll stop, but my biggest concern is the start date, and I think we're finding, I've looked through the records, I think someone that's a habitually thumbing their nose at the parking restrictions is likely going to have been doing it the last few years. I'd rather have a nice clean start. I would even be in favor of starting, January 1st, 2026, because there is, I know that the town of Rye has been sending out evidently letters saying, hey, listen, pay your tickets because you could be towed. But the very astute observer could be looking at our law now and saying, that's BS because we don't have this law right now. So is it really a law? If we're warning someone in a law that didn't exist? In other words, you got the letter in 2025 saying, you better pay your parking tickets because you could be towed. I live in Rybrook, I look in the law, and I say, that's not true. There is no such law. And now we're, in a sense, retroactively saying, gotcha, because we're going to make our law retroactive, in a sense. Retroactive, you know what I'm saying? And to me, a pretty major law, again, taking someone's property, valuable property, we can argue and observe it, but to me, we need to set a clear notice. This is the law going forward. You're on notice. There's no excuses anymore. We're getting really serious about this, and we're going after the people that aren't paying. I get that part. But the retroactiveness seems a little, and I know I've said January 2024, and that was for the record-keeping issues, but as a fairness issue, I would even submit like January, or even today, as the date to start. I'll sort of shut
So,
up.
and I'll, if there's other comments, I would just say, from a personal standpoint, I'm fine going a little bit, originally it said 2020. I understand what you're saying about the record keeping. I would still want to, personally, want to keep it at 2024, if that's when you're saying, if they started getting really good records in '23, then we're able to prove it. These are still people that are knowingly not paying parking tickets, and as far as I'm concerned, it's, the law was still in place that that whatever rule for parking you were breaking, that law was in place, and you should have paid these. There could have been action prior to this, it's just that for some reason, there wasn't action being taken by the town to try and get notice to people, but now the notices are going out, so, my personal feeling is to I'm fine keeping January 1st of 2024, and I don't know if there were other comments from any of the.
So this aspect will be purely a Board of Trustees decision. There's nothing in the law that would preclude for being retroactive to any time before 2020, simply because these are individuals that haven't responded to the tickets within the return date on them, and because of that, they've effectively waived certain rights.
One of the things,
And this will give them time to cure as well, because they're getting notice now, saying that you owe this money, that you need to pay this ticket.
Not necessarily, I think. If you had, and I don't want to suggest January 24, but let's say you had 3 tickets in 24, and you got your notice in 24 that, hey, you got 3 tickets, you need to pay them, and we can tell you. So that's an old notice.
Right, but my understanding is that the town is sending out notice now, again.
Again, are they going to restart anything? I didn't get
That's my
that.
understanding, was because a lot of notices weren't sent, that these.
I don't know that for sure. I don't know that. I can't verify that one way or the other without talking.
I think,
I can say one of the things, what start date you guys pick is really more of a policy question. The issue of, I know one of the other issues that was raised at the last meeting was whether or not, people get notice that their car could potentially be impounded or immobilized. So one of the things we learned in the meeting we had with the town was that all the notices do say, actually it's kind of bold, they put them in all caps.
They did put it
That the
all.
village shall be, the vehicle can be immobilized, booted, or impounded if found parked illegally or illegally on public grounds, can be booted. So they do highlight that that's a possibility, or that's something that can happen. So I was at least pleased to hear that that was included in the notices, and we put a sample of that notice in the background materials. But what start date you guys pick is really, it's more of a policy question than an administrative one.
Right, I mean, I guess when we had this conversation in the past, my understanding was because they sent out one notice right at the beginning.
We didn't know, that's why
And
we were
then they
able to
didn't
learn.
send out any further notices.
That was originally, but then we learned more as we met with them.
Right, but I guess I was,
They have tightened up their procedures quite a bit from what it used to be.
and again, my understanding was that they were going to be sending these notices again to people saying,
They're sending them out on a going forward basis. I don't know about the ones in the past. I think that's still open.
I just remember at that meeting, it always seemed a little squishy as to exactly when these notices were sent out, who got them, and
They seemed comfortable, I will say, they seemed comfortable that their records are accurate from 24 on, from sometime in 23 on. So which is, I'm assuming, that's why I think Trustee Crom said January 24 is a possibility.
Right. I got the distinct impression that they felt comfortable with the records
Sometime
in 23. But I also got the distinct impression that regarding notices, the 30, 60, 90, 120, filing civil, what is it called? Judgment in the county court, that was all much more recent. In fact, there was a debate on how recent. I got the feeling it was maybe only a month or two old.
30, 60, 90, 120, 22 was recent, but they were sending out notices prior. I just don't know on what frequency.
Okay. So, anyway,
All right, well, this is a public hearing. Again, if there's any members of the public that would wish to speak on this matter, please feel free to do so.
I have one question.
Yeah.
So, it even says on the Town of Rye's letter here that I'm reading, that it can be immobilized, parentheses, booted or impounded if found parked legally or illegally on public grounds. So they cannot impound or immobilize or take away a car that's on a private property?
That is correct. The minor exception for public parking lots, such as Rye Ridge, or if they're blocking like a fire lane or something like that, but, if it's in someone's driveway,
They cannot,
yeah,
not even boot.
no.
so park in your driveway, folks.
My point was that I would like, because I still feel for people and the fact that
Yeah.
they do need their vehicles, I would love it to be, immobilization versus impoundments, because the cost of it does escalate daily and becomes a true issue for some people.
I think sometimes it depends. I think
I mean, if
my
it's
personal is that you should leave that discretion to the police officers, because, again, if somebody's parked in an unsafe area, if somebody's parked on a public street and it's a snowstorm coming, if somebody's parked in a fire lane in the shopping center, those might change that scenario.
Right,
So I think there needs to be some discretion in there.
right, okay, so, but I would like the discretion to be,
Lean one way.
Yes.
Yes.
So back on that, I thought, my understanding from before, and this is new information to me, they can impound or tow from the plazas, the shopping plazas now? That's an exception to the private property rule.
And that's an exception. There's actually a provision of the VTL which directly speaks to parking lots open to the public, as well as when parking lot owners have requested or part of their original approval process sought, asked that the local police department, enforce laws. That's why, Rybrook Police issue fire lane tickets at the Rye Ridge Plaza.
Okay, which I thought the fire lanes was an exception, but you're saying the whole parking lot's an exception to that.
It is.
Question.
And then it's also a question of, will they be patrolling and find someone's vehicle, like just in a regular parking spot? That's unlikely. I don't imagine that they'll be patrolling looking for that. It'll most likely be, oh, hey, you're in the fire lane, about to write you a fire lane ticket. Oh, hey, look, you have a bunch of other unpaid parking tickets.
That's in practice what's going to happen.
So the same also applies to HOA, like the HOA roads are open to the public, and therefore they'll also fall under the...
If they've been, so typically with those are either private roads or they were dedicated to the village during the planning approval process. I think we would have to take a look at specifically what type of, ownership of those roads are for those specific HOAs.
So for HOA, if they maintain, you're saying the devil's in the details.
Yeah, with that one it is.
So in an HOA, with
Maintaining
public
roads.
roads,
There's
it would be effective.
within your
right, but-
HOA.
But it's also maintaining the roads.
Just to clarify, we know which ones are private and which ones are public on our official map. You can see that, but if it's a dedicated public road, then they can be booted or towed.
But an HOA where all the roads are
Public. Private, no.
like the arbors, those are
Private.
private.
Again, the one exception being fire lanes,
Right.
handicap parking, stuff like that.
So, yeah. No, it's a bit fraught.
It is, it's,
It is. And again, I guess I'm giving leeway to our officers in that I don't think this is really going to be in, they're not, I don't think they're going to be out cruising,
Right.
looking for scofflaws. I think they're going to, when something arises and they go to issue a ticket, that's when they're going to see that this person has multiple unpaid tickets. And again, this isn't talking about, oh, whoops, I got a ticket back in 2024 that I forgot to pay. This is, you have 3 or more.
Yeah.
And as we saw from the list, some of these vehicles had 6 or 7 or more.
Some are limousines, taxi companies, things like that.
Yeah.
So personally, I'm comfortable with this. I know we would need, we need a majority though. So, I mean, we can defer this if people would prefer. I know Chief Dengler's not here today.
Yep, I know, not really open
Excused. He's
issue.
allowed to be on vacation.
Well,
But-
if the board wanted to make a change on the start date, then that would just take a motion to modify the local law and see if there's a majority to modify it to whatever date is proposed.
Okay, I would make that motion to change the start date to January 1, 2024.
Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Any other modifications? I think we had a potential modification in, sorry, I have to go back to,
D1A,
it was the one referring to the traffic law
and then
instead of
Yeah, who you pay, clarification on
clarification
who you
of,
pay.
so subsection D1A, just striking everything before the comma, and then on D2, modifying subsection C to refer to the vehicle and traffic law regarding the insurance.
yes,
Yeah, so moved.
right.
Right, and I just want to reiterate, I have no problem voting on it today, but I want to reiterate that it is your understanding that the town of Rye is sending out notices anew.
I would hope to at least be planning to at
No,
least be here.
at least on a going forward basis. I can't answer you tonight about the backwards ones.
I really think that they should be sending out notice if they have intentions of immobilizing a vehicle.
Well, it would be us immobilizing the vehicle, but I think.
It's been on all the prior letters that they
Yeah,
send you.
it's been on, they've received letters in the past. Anyone who this would affect has received letters saying, stating that, you read the letter. that
Right.
it's- That, I mean, it's stating that this could happen to their vehicle. And the collection agencies will be reaching out as well. So even if you're not driving around in the village of Rybrook, you're still going to receive notice from someone trying, whatever agency they.
Well, I think that's more for a future discussion also about the
Right.
backwards ones.
Right.
I think that we could also include this in anything that we post
Absolutely.
on
Oh,
our
yeah.
village.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, this should be,
Require a great deal of communication
Yeah,
with
if
our
you have,
residents.
right, if you have outstanding parking tickets, now's the time to pay them before you're parking again
right, and let them
in the
know,
fire lane at Rybridge Shopping Center, which you shouldn't be doing, and
and
is a
let
pet
them
peeve
know
of
what
mine.
the procedure is to find out if they have any, because again, they may
Yep.
not have any right now, or they
Yep.
may have one that's outstanding, and it would be wise of them to,
Yeah, well, I mean, if there's one, yes, it would be wise of them to pay it off, but also, don't go get a second and a third. How about just go to a parking spot, park in a
Right.
parking spot. So, don't park in the handicap if you're not allowed to.
how many
Park in-
tickets do we give out, parking in the fire lanes at Rye Ridge?
Not enough.
I don't know, I know they do push them along a lot.
No, I think it's fair. I see them honking and.
We have the lights go, and we, basically move them along, but tickets, they do give out tickets,
Oh, yeah.
and we've seen that, but there's also some that will just kind of push them through to open it up.
Yeah. Yes, it is a public hearing still, Mr. Loranga.
I was just going to answer your question for you. Hi, Joe Laronga. So from Traffic Commission, 74 tickets were given out in February.
In the shopping center?
Shopping, no, not shopping center, parking tickets, shopping
Overall.
center,
Overall.
snow, anything for the month, was 74, which was very high for the police department. And also speeding or vehicle doing something wrong on the road, stop sign, red light, was 25, which was really high. Mostly for traffic, they give out about 4 or 5 a month. Traffic Commission's been really pushing, trying to get that number up. And we're not really pushing the parking, but they have been doing that more. And I've seen cops literally rotate the Rye Ridge Shopping Center and just give out tickets, go around, give out more tickets, go around, give out. So, it's happening. My question is, we have tow trucks?
No, we have companies that come, we call in a company to do, it. And there's a rotating company, there's two
So
different
for the
companies that come.
fire lane, like at Rye Ridge, we'd have to call a tow company if the person had, say, 4 tickets outstanding, the tow company would have to, the cop would have to stay there. The tow company would have to come, which might take them 20 minutes, half hour to get there.
However long it is.
So
Or they may, you know, they may
Does
tell them
that
to pull off to the
person-
side, or,
what happens if that person starts a fight with the cop?
That's,
You know, then they get arrested. Like,
it's a lot of snow that can
for
happen.
this, but
The issue is we're having a lot of repeat violations,
Yeah, I know.
and they're not being paid.
No, I know.
So,
There's-
often people who are not paying them continue to get tickets and not pay them.
and where would they get towed to?
To the tow company has a location. Then they go to there and they have
And
to
then they
get
go
it
to
redeemed.
court, pay, and then the tow fee, say like of $150 would be
Per
included in
day.
their payment.
That would be paid to the
It's
tow
a
company.
lot of money.
Yeah, it's,
that what it is?
it's paid separately, so they would have to pay their fines that are due for the parking ticket and then pay the towing.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
and hopefully it doesn't come to this. Hopefully people will pay their parking tickets and this is the stick.
Yeah.
Follow the law.
Any other questions or comments
I
from the
was just going to
board?
say, when I was in school in Philadelphia, there were signs galore that indicated who was going to tow you and where you were going to have to go to get your car back.
Right. Yeah. I don't think we're having those signs, but that's a different conversation that
But
we
they'll
can.
get, when the tow company comes,
Yeah,
they
they'll
get their
get the
information.
So, all right, can I have any other questions or comments from the public?
We have a motion and
Well,
a
we-
second on the amendment. so
We
the
need to
vote-
close the public hearing first.
Well, you're just amending the local law. That's a
Okay.
motion to amend the local law.
Okay, so we had a motion and a second to amend the local law. We'll take a vote on the amendments, but this isn't on passing it, this is.
Just on the amendments to the local law.
themselves. Okay.
Okay. Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Crom? Yes. Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. Now can I have a motion and second, please, to close the public hearing?
So moved?
Second,
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
yes.
Trustee Crom? Yes. Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. Chris, let's move right into the
Sure.
resolution. Resolution number 4, considering adopting a local law for Chapter 240 of the Village Code to authorize the impoundment and/or immobilization of vehicles for delinquent parking tickets and to convert unclaimed abandoned vehicles to a village use.
Whereas a local law was introduced before the Board of Trustees to modify the village code to authorize the impoundment and/or immobilization of vehicles for delinquent parking tickets and to convert unclaimed abandoned vehicles to a village use, and whereas the Board of Trustees hereby classifies the proposed local law as a Type 2 action pursuant to seeker, and therefore no further environmental review is required, and whereas on March 24th, 2026, the Board of Trustees held a public hearing in Village Hall to consider the proposed local law, at which time all persons interested were given an opportunity to be heard. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the above-mentioned amendments to the village code to authorize impoundment and/or immobilization of vehicles for delinquent parking tickets and to convert unclaimed abandoned vehicles to a village use.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
And again, this is a vote on the amended now local law.
It's now in place. It's now
It's
a revised local law that you're
revised
voting on.
Local law that we are voting on.
I have one more question.
Yes.
It says that we can convert, if it's a vehicle that is not claimed, convert to village use.
That's a different matter, that not related to the parking tickets. That's a
Yeah.
different part of the local law.
I can give you some background on that. So it's a pretty difficult and lengthy process in order to do that. It's just an option. You have to have that enabled by local law. It requires multiple notices to the last known owner via certified mail. And it can only happen under certain circumstances that a vehicle can be declared as abandoned. And then in order to convert it to a governmental use, you would then need to, trust me, it's a lot of notices to the last owner.
That was my concern. I certainly want that to
Not
be,
related to the other issue.
fair enough. Okay, I'm good.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Crom? Yes. Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. And all good conversation that we have here. Again, we're trying to look to do the right thing. We want to make sure that this isn't something that we are just arbitrarily passing. This is that, anyone watching at home, and certainly, as was being pointed out, this is an instance where, again, not having a local paper and not being able to really get the word out through multiple sources may harm us in a sense. And again, we will do our best to try and get word out that this has occurred. Certainly, any tickets moving forward, and whatever notice potentially could be sent to someone who has outstanding tickets, we'll try and make sure that something occurs. I can't guarantee it because it's out of our hands, but again, this isn't for someone who got a parking ticket once a couple of years ago, forgot about it. This is for multiple offenses. Okay, moving to resolution number 1. Consider authorizing circulation of notice by the Village of Rybrook Board of Trustees to continue its role as seeker lead agency for the proposed Second Amendment to the approved senior living facility at property located at 900 King Street.
Whereas 900 King Street, as the owner of the property, is the owner of certain property located at that location and shown on the village tax maps, and located in the planned unit development district and scenic overlay district, and whereas the subject property is currently improved with an office building and at-grade parking lot, and whereas on September 14th, 2021, the Board of Trustees approved a PUD site plan for the development of an age-restricted senior living facility with a total of 231 residential units consisting of 126 independent units and 85 assisted living units and 20 townhomes with a total square footage of 345,902 square feet and other related infrastructure, driveways, walking, garage, surface parking, street lighting, signage, and stormwater improvements, and whereas prior to the site plan approval, the board adopted a finding statement as lead agency pursuant to seeker, adopted a local law, the village code, and approved a PUD concept plan for the project, and whereas on September 30th, 2021, the planning board also approved a wetlands permit and steep slopes permit for the project, and whereas the wetlands and steep slopes permit approvals have been extended from time to time and are scheduled to expire again on September 8th, 2025. Is that 2026?
Should be.
Probably,
And whereas in February of 2025, an application was submitted by Sunrise Development as contract vendor, which included reduction to the building footprint, updated porte cochere entry for the buildings, and updated courtyard layout, addition of balconies, walkout terraces, additional outdoor amenities, modification to the loading zone, in addition to the structure over the proposed generator and outdoor trash area, an addition of a second garage space in each of the 20 townhomes, and modification of the footprint to the 10 townhomes to allow for the addition of a second main level bedroom.
It'll also be 26?
No, that's just the number in each of the 20, yeah.
No, February 20th, that we're at.
No, yeah, 26. We're off a year. Thank you. And whereas prior to approval of the amended PUD plan, the village board adopted the amended finding statement as lead agency pursuant to seeker. And whereas in June 2025, the planning board approved the amended PUD plan, nope, it should have been 25.
It should have been 25 on that one.
And on June 6, 2025, the ARB approved the amendments as per code. And then whereas in February 2026, another application was submitted by the applicant seeking further amendments, which include a slight reduction of the townhouses and portions of the loop road and sidewalk adjacent to the townhouses, rerouting of the sanitary sewer main, an adjustment to the storm system under the garage, relocation of emergency standby generators and trash enclosure, relocation of parking spaces, adjacent to the ring road north of the back of house driveway entrance, and relocation of land bank parking to south of back of house driveway entrance. And whereas there are no modifications to the unit count, bed count, building height, or square footage from the amended PUD site plan, and whereas the planning board is the approval authority for the second amended PUD site plan pursuant to village code, And whereas the board desires to continue its role as lead agency for the amended project, which is classified as an unlisted action pursuant to seeker, now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby declares its intent to continue to act as lead agency for the second amended project and directs circulation of its notice of intent to declare lead agency to all known involved agencies with a copy of this resolution, the Shoreline Environmental Assessment Form Part 1, and all existing Second Amendment project materials.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Chris, maybe just a little background about why this is in front of us. Again, I know
Sure.
that there were, a series of minor changes that brought it back for a site plan amendment.
Yes, so the applicant made an application to the building department for the project in December of last year, and as part of that, working on their construction documents, they found some changes that they would like to have reviewed and considered by the village. So those types of amendments, which are more minor in nature, under our code, falls under the jurisdiction of the planning board as the lead agency, as the approval agency for those types of minor amendments. However, the village board is still the seeker lead agency, and that's why we need to do this. So the purpose before the board tonight is not to review the changes in the site plan, but to review its status as lead agency and authorize the distribution of the notice of intent to continue to act as lead agency. That's the purpose of why it's before you. The jurisdiction of the amendments, and that seeker review is strictly for the amended portions of the project. The actual amendments of the project, though, come under the jurisdiction of the planning board.
Thank you, Chris. And if you can keep up with all of that, then you're good at mazes. So, and I know we have a representative from the developer, so please.
Hope you don't have any tickets while you're out there.
In Rybrook.
Good evening, Mayor Klein, members of the board. My name is Vincent Padone with the law firm of Zarin & Steinmetz, here tonight on behalf of Sunrise Senior Living in connection with their proposed senior living facility at 900 King Street. The reason we're here tonight, as Chris said, is so you guys could circulate your intent to serve as lead agency under SECRA. If you'd like, I could run through a list of the changes, but I think most importantly, it should be noted that nothing is being changed with respect to unit count, bed count, building height, square footage, impervious coverage, building coverage, disturbance within the wetlands buffers, no changes with respect to setbacks to the arbors, just some minor engineering and architectural changes that the design team believe will make the project more cost-effective and cohesive.
Thank you, and thank you for coming tonight. I think you've probably noticed that in Rybrook, like many other communities, we like to dot the i's, cross the t's. When something reaches a certain level, it's better to just have this all in one shot. So the site plan then gets amended, approved, and there's not a series of changes that may lead to something farther down the line, that this is happening ahead of time, and it shouldn't stall the project at all. I think you'll find the planning board will be easy to work with on this, and will certainly add their comments as they review the site plan amendments. And again, this is just us declaring lead agency. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, we have motion and second already.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Quorum? Yes. Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you.
Yep, thank you guys very much for your time.
Right. All right, resolution number 2, considering a request of an extension exemption of Chapter 158, Section 2.1 of the Village Code regarding a seasonal leaf blower ban for Talcott Woods HOA.
Whereas on April 2023, the Board of Trustees approved a local law enacting a seasonal gas-powered leaf blower ban from May 1st to September 30th, effective May 1st, 2024. And whereas under the Village Code, properties of 5 acres or more can apply to the village for a full or partial exemption or extension of the local law. And whereas an application has been received by the owner of Talcott Woods, and whereas previously a 1-year exemption was granted by the board that expired on October 1st, 2025, and whereas on March 20th, 2026, representatives of Talcott Woods HOA submitted an application for an exemption from the requirements of the local law regarding a seasonal ban on gas-powered leaf blowers. Now therefore be resolved that after consideration of the intent of the local law as well as the considerations raised in the application from the representatives of Talcott Woods, the Village of Rybrook Board of Trustees either approves, denies, or approves with conditions the request for an exemption of the village code enacting the seasonal leaf blower ban for Talcott Woods HOA.
Thank you, Chris. On these, we hold off for motions and seconds till we know if there's going to be anything needed to add into that. We have representatives from Talcott Woods, please.
Good evening. Thanks for putting us on the agenda this evening. We appreciate it. My name is Richard Mast. I'm president of the Talcott Woods Homeowners Association Board of Directors. And with me, I'm sure you know, is Vito Longo, president and owner of Vito Luongo Landscaping Company. Vito and his team have serviced Talcott Woods for the past 20 years. I know you're in receipt of our application through Greg and our explanatory letter. I'd like to just quickly paraphrase the most salient points of our letter for review this evening in terms of giving us consideration. Number one, Talcott Woods is comprised of 25 acres of property. Number two, this includes 68 homes, each with its own front, side, and backyards and driveway. Number three, each property is handled as a separate unit by Vito and his men in terms of mowing, thatching, seeding, mulching, fertilizing, and leaf blowing. Number four, in addition to our 68 homes, there are multiple acres of fully lawned common property throughout our community requiring the same level of work from Vito. Number five, based on our commitment last year to do everything we could to comply with the spirit of the electric leaf blower law, you were kind enough to give us an extension in order for the blower and battery technology to catch up to a fair level of usefulness in terms of fulfilling our community's landscaping needs. Number six, Greg checked our compliance during this past season, and not speaking for him, but he certainly seems satisfied with our compliance level. Number seven, to date, the technology is no further along than it was last year at this time. Electric blowers simply can't handle our 68 homes and our many acres of common property. Battery technology is also moving very slowly. They tend to last 1 to 2 hours and require constant maintenance, recharging, and replacement. Number eight, we are committed to the same level of compliance as last year for this year, and will continue to implement all of the same eco-friendly programs that we have at Talcott as outlined in our letter. And number nine, we are requesting another one-year extension in order for the technology to continue to catch up to the landscaping demands of our Talcott community. Vito?
Good evening, Mayor Kime, Village Board. My name is Vito Longo. As Richard said, I've been in there for 20 years. As we said last year, at this point, the battery operator is not as strong as it should be. So we think we need to continue to use these blowers at Talcott. As we did last year and we'll do this year, we mainly use the gas-powered blower in front of the house, which is the road, the front walkway, and other walkways, the driveway, and so on, because it's 68 homes, one after another, so it's just continuation, just keep going. If it was an individual house, we do, it's different. We do use battery-operated blowers. We use those on walkways, patios, and very rarely will we use them on the lawns, because pretty much in the summer, with the exception of June, really don't get much activities on the lawn with grass. But, you know, as we said, the technology is getting better, but it's not there yet. Most of the technology that we have for battery operated are backpack blowers, not the big walk blowers, which we need to maintain places like Talcott of 68 individual homes. So we are asking for an extension. Hopefully you guys will understand our concern, and thank you for listening to us.
Thank you. And you answered one of my questions. So you do have electric blowers that you're utilizing on the walkways and the patios?
And the patios.
Okay.
Mayor, let me just read from the original letter that we sent, which I know you have copies of. We said we again propose the following. Number one, during the months of July and August, behind houses 20 to 32 and 60 to 68, we will utilize only one gas blower, and we will continue to implement the use of 4 electric blowers. And number two, from May 1st to September 30th, we will reprogram all of our gas blowers to run at half throttle, all the time while clearing both our common property and all 68 private properties. In doing both, this will dramatically reduce noise and air particulates. So we commit to that.
And that was the approval from last
And
year.
that was the approval, because we didn't have, yeah, that was.
It was in the
one thing we
backup.
were missing.
It was in,
I didn't have
yeah, we
that.
put it in the back.
And the reason for
Okay.
those homes, that's where Talcott really touches with other resident from the town. Everywhere else really doesn't have much connection with the town.
Yeah, the only question I would have is whether you'd be comfortable with, because in some of the other resolutions, we just have something, specifically outlining that electric only will be used on the walkways and patios.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board?
I think what we talked about whenever we had our
No.
last
One of these.
discussion of these things is that maybe in the spring, at some point, we need to discuss the whole law.
Yeah, we'll probably be looking at the law as a whole over the summer, because I think as a board, we're realizing, I think our hope was when we envisioned this law, this legislation, there would be enough pressure from other communities and everyone, and we would see advancements in technology, and we certainly understand where the larger, properties are coming from. We certainly understand the limiting factors here. So at this point, we're not doing 2-year for this year, because we do anticipate that we'll be having board discussion at some point over the summer, spring, summer, on how we can adjust this legislation. Please.
I would be remiss if I did not ask you what I asked the other vendors. What equipment are you using, and is it lasting? I know it's not good enough for the gas.
It's called an Echo, it's a company called Echo that makes the battery operated. You're talking about the battery operated?
Yeah, which ones do you use?
They, since year one, which we started about 3 years ago to now, there's been an improvement, but not drastically where it's got the same power. But there is an improvement, nothing where we're close where you match it up with a gas blower. So maybe next year, the year after, something will come out.
So it's just blowers, that you're not using mowers?
No mowers at all. I don't think there's any really, all the people that I know that I deal with, nobody has a blower that's battery operator, or even one of those big blowers that you walk behind and push. There's nothing like that. We are, or when we do our pruning, those are pretty much battery operated. But right now, the only thing that we really use a lot of, it will be the blowers in the summer.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions or comments from the board? Okay, so if I could have a motion and second of a slightly amended resolution, just adding that
You
bit
summarize it
about,
if you like.
if you're comfortable with that, just saying the electric will be used on the walkways and patios,
Walkways, patios.
if that's what you're doing anyway.
So the modification would be that the Board of Trustees hereby approves with conditions the request for an exemption of the village code through October 1st, 2026, because that'll then allow for the approval for the next time if it continues. Under the following conditions, one, that from July 1st to August 31st, for home numbers 20 to 32 and home numbers 60 to 68, only one gas blower shall be used, with any additional leaf blowers being electric or battery leaf blowers. And from May 1st to September 30th, all gas-powered leaf blowers will be operated at no more than half throttle. And during the period of the ban, electric leaf blowers shall be used on all walkways and patios.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay, can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second. Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Hauser?
Yes.
Trustee Quallen? Yes. Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, we appreciate the consideration.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you.
Have a good night. All right, resolution number 5, considering an agreement between the Village of Rybrook and Alpine Software, Inc. for Fire Department National Emergency Response Information System reporting.
Whereas the Village of Rybrook Fire Department is required to report emergency responses to New York State and federal and FEMA, and whereas FEMA has recently launched a new National Emergency Response Information System, or called NERIS, for fire departments nationwide to enter emergency response data, and whereas Rybrook has received a proposal from Alpine Software to provide assistance to the fire department to meet nearest requirements for a one-year agreement, an annual cost of $4,750 with a $500 one-time implementation fee effective June 1st, 2026, and whereas the Village of Rybrook is interested in accepting the proposed agreement with Alpine Software to provide assistance to the fire department to meet this requirement, now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the agreement with Alpine Software to provide assistance to the fire department to meet these requirements for a one-year agreement at an annual cost of $4,750 with a $500 one-time implementation fee effective June 1st, 2026, subject to modification by council, and be it further resolved, the mayor and administrator are authorized to sign any documents necessary to accomplish the purposes of this resolution.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
So, as a quick question, what was the reporting system prior to this?
Do you really want to know?
In a simple, short answer?
They've been doing it by hand, which is not the way to do it.
Not the way, definitely not the way to do it. All right, that makes me feel better that this isn't
Prior to that, there was a
unfunded mandate.
Prior to that, there was a county system that they offered that's no longer available.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions or comments from the board?
I asked the mayor if FEMA still exists.
Apparently so.
On paper, at least. All right.
And Mayor, just for your clarification, it was the National Fire Incident Reporting System was the old system. So this new system was just rolled out in the past year, which all departments nationwide have to use.
And basically, we're required to do any kind of reports have to be given to New York State and also now to FEMA.
Right. All right. Well, it's good. I mean, I'm glad someone's tracking this information.
This is another
Hopefully
product
uses-
of our lieutenants now in place and being very active doing all the right things.
Great.
Yep.
Great.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Crom? Yes. Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 6, considering an agreement between the Village of Rybrook and Hudson Engineering Consulting, PC.
Whereas Argyle Road has experienced several flooding events under intense stormwater conditions, and whereas Rybrook has received a proposal from this engineering firm in Elmsford, New York, to conduct a hydrologic and hydraulic H&H analysis to present potential solutions for the village to reduce stormwater flow pattern on Argyle Road for an estimated cost of $31,000 in addition to any associated costs associated with the provision of the proposal, and whereas Rybrook is interested in accepting the proposal, now therefore be resolved that the board hereby approves the proposed agreement with Rybrook and Hudson Engineering Consulting to conduct the H&H analysis to present potential solutions to the village to reduce stormwater flow patterns on Argyle Road for an estimated cost of $31,000 in addition to any additional costs associated with the provisions of the proposal, subject to modification by council, and be it further resolved the mayor and administrator are authorized to sign any documents necessary to accomplish the purposes of the resolution.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
I know this is a very tough spot. It's one of the branches of the Blind Brook comes down, it's a choke point.
It overflows into the properties from bypasses system, but yeah, it's a problem.
Water coming from both sides. I walk by it regularly, and
And
so.
if you're wondering why this firm is on, and why it's on the agenda, this is a firm that's not approved as part of our annual organizational meetings. So we did get proposals, Mr. Nowak got proposals from multiple companies, and this is the lowest proposal for the qualified firm.
Okay, great. Well, it'll be interesting to see what they find and whether there's anything that can be done. I mean, it's again,
I know
a
I'm
tough
going to
area.
regret this, but what is the difference between hydrologic and hydraulic?
Mr. Nowak! I was just happy to say H&H in the last
I was gonna-
I could have a guess for you if you want.
Please, yes, the firm of the engineer.
I did take this 40 years ago in college. That's, you have a guess what? No, I would say hydraulic is more like the channel flow and how the water behaves in the channel. Hydrologic might be the whole, like, system.
Or the watershed.
That's what I'm saying, like the whole, like, drainage area.
Overland flow and in the brook flow.
Right, so hydraulic in the channel or whatever, the brook. Yeah?
Right.
All right, so good guess.
I would say so.
All right, well, the AI pretty much says what you said. The hydrology focuses on the natural movement, distribution, and quantity of water. Hydraulics is the engineering study of the water's mechanical behavior, focusing on how it flows through the systems.
But do you realize
Pretty
if
much
you took,
exactly what you just said.
if you took out the words
Good.
a hydraulic and a hydrologic and hydraulic from this paragraph, nothing would change.
True. And these are the interesting
Motion second.
all we know is that we do clean out the storm basins as far as the MS4 program. All right, I think we have a motion and a second.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Hauser?
Yes.
Trustee Crown? Yes. Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 7, considering the acceptance of funds and participation in the installation of an outdoor fitness court studio as part of the 2026 National Fitness Campaign Program. This is very exciting.
Whereas the Village of Rybrook submitted a grant application to the National Fitness Campaign, or NFC, for participation in the 2026 initiative to install an active outdoor fitness courts in over 1,000 communities and schools across the country. And whereas Rybrook wishes to accept the $40,000 national grant from the NFC Grant Committee and statewide partners, and endeavors to provide a local and/or grant funding in the estimated amount of $252,750 in accordance with the NFC grant program requirements to promote and implement a public-facing outdoor fitness court studio. And whereas Rybrook understands the scope of this project includes the installation of a concrete pad as well as the assembly of the fitness court studio to both be completed by separate vendors external to the NFC campaign, and that additional funding requirements for the concrete installation and fitness court assembly can be found on the grant program requirements document provided by the National Fitness Campaign. And whereas Rybrook Village Board believes joining the National Fitness Campaign would be an important step in building a healthier community and intends to commit funding to participate in the 2026 campaign, which will also provide Rybrook with the local and regional recognition as a leader in providing accessible health and wellness infrastructure and programs in its community. Now therefore be resolved that by accepting this grant, the Board of the Trustees of the Village of Rybrook intends to collaborate with the NFC to join the National Fitness Campaign, provide the matching funding requirement, and implement the outdoor fitness court studio program, and to make this fitness opportunity available to the community, and be it further resolved, the Mayor Administrator is authorized to sign any documents or agreements subject to any modifications made by council to implement the purposes of this resolution.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
And Chris, if you
Sure.
have a detail.
Yeah, this is
really cool.
This is a really cool project that is going to be discussed at our budget work sessions. This resolution is just accepting the grant and the intent, but it's not committing us to the funding or the project at this point. So this is a non-binding resolution, but it is, if we were chosen to only build a certain number of these throughout the state, and if we said we didn't want this, then they would move to another community and look for another community that is interested in doing it. So this is a really cool program. I think it's something that's very different that we've been trying to do, really try to provide more fitness opportunities for residents in the community, and particularly, 16 and up, and adults, as well, older, young adults and adults to be able to use a fitness studio. So this is one, if you look at the background information, that has fitness equipment on one side that's stationary, that you have a whole program that goes with it, and then the other side is a studio space where you can run programs. We're looking to consider having this, or have the board consider putting this over in Harkness Park, which would allow the school to use it, as well as the school district, as well as any residents. Again, this is going to have much more discussion about the actual project, I think, during our budget work sessions. This is a national program. We're pleased to be selected and recommended for it. We'd be either the first or second in Westchester County to have it. And we're looking, and it has a whole app that goes along with, that changes regularly, and has where you can do different programs and exercises, and it changes all the time on what you can do on this, very durable type of equipment, outdoor fitness studio equipment. So we can run programs on the studio space, others can do it as well. On the equipment side of it, there's just endless possibilities of what you could do on that side. Since school teams would be able to use it, where the proposal in the budget is to mostly use the grant and recreation trust account funding that's built up for, basically which we try to use mostly for improvements to our parks, improvement to facilities in our parks. So this would be, I think, an appropriate use for the rec trust funding, and the board will be, again, considering the actual project at a later date. So the resolution talks about the grant program requirements. The board would have to consider this resolution, the time frame is set as, for tonight, and then the authorization to proceed is intentionally put as June 24th, 2026, because that would, by then, we would know what the budget was.
Right.
So that's the proposal that's before the board now, is to say we're looking to move forward with this type of project.
Thank you, Chris. And I would have to agree that I think Harkness is a great spot for this. Certainly, I'm looking forward to the conversation, whichever Monday that one's on. I forget which one it's on for. But questions or comments from the board?
This doesn't bind members of the board to actually get fit, does it?
Oh, absolutely, yes it does, actually, yeah.
You are not required to use this.
Just want to make sure.
And it really builds upon the whole, the FIT campaign that we did, the fitness initiative together, and builds our commitment to try to look for opportunities for, a wide range of different ages in the community to join in the fitness campaigns that are out there.
I love this. I think it's fantastic. I just hope we have enough room in Harkness Park. We may have to move a tree or two because we put something in place in that area. But my question is, how much money is in that?
The rec trust?
Yes.
250-some thousand, I think, plus we're going to be getting additional funds as part of the 900 King Street project to help replenish a lot of that.
Well, that's actually my next question. This is going to also benefit 900 King.
Mhm.
So I think that maybe involving them in the discussions of this might be a good thing.
100%. So if the
Because
board wants to go ahead,
maybe-
it does allow for other types of project sponsors with it.
Right, I think
So if
that
we know the
is,
board wants to do it, then we can start to approach that.
right, I think that is a very important factor because it will benefit that building
Sure.
tremendously. So I'm in favor of it. I think it's great. I think it will benefit all of I've always been pushing for more adult things also. I do not want it restricted, however, to when the kids are not in school.
All those are all on the table. All those issues are on the
It's a
table.
park that is Rybrook Park, and it should not be handed over to school use only.
Well, the issue becomes parking, because we don't have our own parking for that.
Well, that's the other thing, so I've been thinking about
Well,
that.
we'll discuss this in the budget session. I don't think it's a discussion related to
I'm
the
very
grant
excited
right now.
about it. Thank you for finding it. And are there other grants available to this?
Yeah, I was a little disappointed. I found out today we were putting in for another grant that was a recreation grant to help fund some of the balance. But we just found out today that because playground equipment would be, and other types of equipment, but it was specific that it had to be traditional equipment, and it had to be, which this is not, and it had to be more, not more adult, it was more child-oriented. So I was bummed about that, because we found a rec one that we thought might fit. But it turns out in the details of the eligibility, we weren't able to use that.
Let's keep
But
looking.
we're going to keep looking. We said the same thing.
Fantastic, thank
Yeah.
you.
All right, other questions or comments?
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Crowell? Yes. Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 8, considering modification to the fiscal year 25-26 budget and capital fund budget transfers between projects.
Resolved that the following general fund budget transfers be approved in fiscal year 25-26 from the undesignated fund balance to the capital committed designated for capital projects fund balance. And this is the $1.5 million that was allocated, identified in the current year's budget. And be it further resolved that the following budget transfer between capital projects be approved, and that is from police vehicles, from basically updating it from one police vehicle's account to another one to fund a balance in the amount of $1,707.85.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Crown? Yes. Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 9, considering approving contract number 2605, Village Hall stucco.
We revised this from the original resolution, and there's a new revised resolution here. And upon looking at this, we just didn't have the funds available, so the revised resolution is actually saying, let's reject this and see if we can do it in stages. So,
Okay.
that's where.
Right, right.
Hmm? Well, it's just that it's more than we can afford right now, so we thought we'll go out, we'll ask the board to reject this bid due to funding, and we'll then go out to bid again. So that's the reflection in this, but let me go
And
through it.
maybe do the different repairs as,
Yeah, or do it in stages if we have to. The worst ones first, and we'll work it through. So, in talking with Mr. Nowak, he said that's a good idea as well. So, whereas Robert has solicited bids for contract 2605, Village Hall stucco, and whereas the bid was advertised in the Journal News and was also made available on the Empire State Purchasing Group bid system, and whereas at 10 a.m. on March 13th, all bids were opened, we received a total of 4 contracts, ranging in prices from a low of $42,000 to a high of $115,000. Mr. Heiser, Trustee Heiser loves that, I'm sure. Now, therefore, be resolved that following review of the bids, the administrator and superintendent have determined the lowest bidder meeting the requirements is SMP Consultants for a total estimated cost of $42,000, and be it further resolved that due to the bid amount exceeding current village budget, that the Village Board of Trustees hereby rejects contract 26-05 Village Hall stucco.
thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Heiser?
I'm not, you know what I'm going to say.
Yeah, it is surprising. It is amazing, the range of bids that we receive on a lot of these. Okay.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Crown? Yes. Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. All right, resolution number 10, considering awarding contract number 2607, school buses and coach buses for various recreation trips. Which we were very glad came in at this time.
Whereas the Board of Trustees, for the Village of Rybrook solicited bids for school buses and various recreation trips, and whereas the bids for contract 26-07 was advertised in Journal News and also made available in the Empire State Purchasing Group bid system, and was at 11 a.m. on Thursday, March 19th, all bids received were open and summarized below. And there was Ames Transportation, County Coach, Royal Coach Lines, and First Student. And they could bid on school buses and/or coach buses. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees determine the lowest responsible bidder meeting the requirements of the contract documents for school buses is First Student for the total bid amount of $48,460.50. Be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees determine the lowest responsible bidder meeting the requirements of the contract for coach buses is County Coach for the total bid amount of $7,700, and be it further resolved, the mayor and administrator are authorized to execute and deliver all documents necessary and appropriate to accomplish the purposes of the resolution.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? Very glad that the bids came in. It gives us surety going into our summer camp program.
You can just see also the coach buses just aren't out there as much anymore. They really don't have them. There's not many out there that provide that service anymore. Wow.
And the school buses, aside from one outlier, were fairly
Tight,
close.
yeah, it's tight.
Yeah. The only question I would have was, is this about what we were expecting? Or does this?
Yeah, I believe it was.
50 cents come
Don't know.
from. My question.
Yes, I did have a question. Where's the 50 cents? I think it's probably per mile. I mean, I have to assume we're telling them
I
about
don't know how
where
they
we're
came
going,
up. Sometimes
where
I think
we're
they're just
going,
trying to say, you know what, Let's go 50 cents less.
Right.
Yeah, if you had counter-proposed 48,460, do you think they would have said no way?
Well, it's a public bid, so we can't do that, but, all right. Any other questions or comments?
I have a question.
Yes.
They can't back out of this bid, can they?
If they backed out of the bid, they would lose their bid bond or certified check that holds the bid price.
So how much was that?
It's, I forget, it's either 5 or 10%, I think of what it is. It's 5%, so.
So
Doesn't
did we
really-
let the other vendors
doesn't
know
matter.
that we're not interested?
Once the contract is signed, then we release the bid, then we release the bid bonds or certified checks to the other vendors.
Is there any,
Once the contract is
I
signed.
worry, right, I worry, quite frankly, that they're willing to forgive the 5% to get out of a contract that's going to cost them more.
Because we're worried about, there's nothing we can do on this at this point, but we've never had it happen, knock on wood, but is it possible? Sure, it's possible if they were to give up their bid bond. And then we move, but then we
The
move,
same for any
and
other,
then we go to the next lowest bidder, which is not,
which we still want the business.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
just, you know me, I just
Everything's
think of the
possible.
next
Yeah.
case scenario, not worst case,
I
but
have
next
to, you know,
case.
I have to imagine, though, that the companies themselves,
Can they do that?
the question about how the bid reads.
So that is my concern, so I just want to bring up the possibility that we may have to, if they ask us for a fuel surcharge, I don't know what our
It
bid
depends on how
was,
the contract reads.
we will have to respond in kind to our constituents and do the same thing.
I don't know how we would do that, but yeah, we'd have to ask for more after they're already enrolled.
yeah, we've already set our prices, and
But
it's,
gas
we
has
wouldn't
gone up
be
by
able
a
to do that.
dollar.
Possible.
It's
Let's hope
gone
it
up by
doesn't come to
a gallon.
You know, again, these are the bus companies. This is what they do for a living, and
They didn't foresee
I'm
this
sure
issue.
they probably didn't foresee this issue, but they probably factored in a cost of increasing gas prices, because gas prices almost always go up in the summer because there's more demand.
And if they're not entitled to it, then you can always go to the next lowest bidder and say, do you want the business?
Right.
I would not want it.
So,
I'm just saying there's no
Okay, I'm
options.
just bringing it up because
Yeah.
that is my thought process.
I thought they went up because the summer blend was more expensive.
No.
maybe that is why.
Yeah, what is the increase from last year? Do we know?
You'd have to look and see where they're going, and I don't know how you'd factor that out. You'd have to really compare how far they're going, which trips they're going on, and, that would be a hard thing to match.
And the bids were opened on March 19th, so they were aware of the general environment.
Yes.
Not that it can't get worse,
Yeah,
but
this
it
has been a
wasn't,
few
it wasn't
weeks.
that
Yeah.
the war hadn't started yet.
I would like to know if we can compare and contrast from last year's number, if we
We
can.
know we can tell you what the numbers were. Remember, we have additional trips,
I
too.
understand that.
Right.
So I'd like to know what the percentage was, because that is a
Try.
factor for us.
Let me take a look at last year's, where we went, and there might be, you probably could do is,
Well, we can
because we don't do it
extrapolate the number.
per trip, so it's hard to match up. I was going to say we can do it that way. Huh? Yeah, I could do it.
Yeah.
We could do it.
Thank you,
Stuff.
I appreciate it. What a great approach.
If that's how they factor their pricing, too, which is a
I'm sure,
different issue.
but it's also how many hours we are asking them to be away. It's not just mileage, it's also days'
Extended
work.
trips and all that,
Right.
yeah.
Because I think we did extend some of them.
We
All
can-
right.
We'll try to provide what information we have, that would be
Thank
helpful.
you, I appreciate
Yep.
that.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Hauser?
Yes.
Trustee Crown? Yes. Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 11, considering a change order for Belfair drain line repairs.
Okay, whereas the storm drain line at 30-34 Belfair Road was compromised and needed emergency repair, and whereas pursuant to general municipal law, an emergency purchase outside of the authorized with the Village of Rybrook procurement policy, amounts can be approved by the board to prevent threats from life, health, safety, and welfare of the residents of Rybrook. And whereas in November of 2025, the Board of Trustees authorized the Superintendent of Public Works to piggyback off the Town Village of Scarsdale municipal contracts with Morano Brothers Corp. and has received a proposal from them for a total estimated cost of $75,109.30. And whereas due to the nature of the work, weather conditions, and extreme depth of the pipe, the Belfair drain line repairs have been more extensive and longer in duration than originally accounted for, and the Marl Brothers Corp. Issued to the village with a revised invoice of $155,251.04 for this additional emergency work, and whereas the change order for the additional emergency work will result in an increase of the total estimated cost by $80,141.74, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the change order in the additional amount of $80,141.74 for this emergency storm drain repair work at 30-34 Belfair Road, and authorizes the Village of Rybrook to pay Marl Brothers Corp. This additional amount.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion second, please?
So moved.
Second.
This I definitely have questions about. I mean, we're looking at more than double the cost. I know that this is a very difficult project.
Yeah, and Michael can give a description, but as you know,
Please.
during the project, even Michael was giving updates to the board at regular meetings because we kept running into additional situations that kept adding on to the cost.
Right, because you're looking at the size of the pipe, the steepness of the slope, the extreme rains and weather conditions we've had all season.
That's right. We're glad to have this project done.
Is it done?
Yes,
for the
it is done.
restoration,
We have to
right?
do some restoration in
Okay.
the springtime when the weather allows, but
Wonderful.
yes, this was a very challenging project due to a 33-degree slope, which is
Massive.
unheard of. And having a piece of equipment on that slope, if you were there and saw it, you would be shaking. Having a large excavator in someone's backyard like that, but due to the depth of the pipe being anywhere from 12 to 15 feet deep on a 30-degree slope, we had delays with weather. We had snow delays. We had the frost. We had issues with encroachments into the right-of-way, so we had to alter our approach so we don't alter someone's driveway, for instance, undermine a retaining wall, so we had to add additional manholes as a result. So we saved on excavating and shoring, but we spent on extra material, but we saved on removing a retaining wall and the driveway. So
And you had
balancing
to
that.
do steps too on it, the way
So,
it was
yes,
done?
and the equipment had to work in a landing, so they had to create a flat area for the excavator. At one point, they had to bring in a larger excavator to reach down deep. It just took much longer due to various factors. Not far off from where I thought it would be. It was actually a little higher than I thought it would be, but yes, I'm not happy with it, but unfortunately, due to emergency status, life safety, we had to proceed with it.
Is this now a titanium pipe that's going to last the rest of our lifetimes?
So this is a double wall.
Like your knee.
This is a double wall corrugated pipe that is installed. In doing additional manholes, we did lessen the steepness of that pipe to slow down the velocity of the water coming in there. Obviously, Mother Nature is Mother Nature. We're battling a very strong entity in certain events, but we're hopeful that we are good for a while.
Let's hope.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I mean, not that it matters, but the flaw in the site design, that it was set up like that originally, I'm moving the materials out of it, it just seemed insane, but like you said, the slope, it was heroic. I can't even believe they did it, and,
You were there and you saw?
Yeah,
I mean, I know you walk by that area, so
Yeah.
you saw it. Not going to point fingers at anybody here, but there may have been other ways of doing things. But listen, these are the cards I'm dealt. So these are the approaches I'm left
I
to.
was say, I don't think
approach.
any of us were here. I think this was
Right,
that was probably
right.
approved back
Exactly,
in
yeah.
the late 90s or
It even predates me on
right, I was gonna say, I mean, that would have been, I mean, I think those were built right in the
Late 90s.
late 90s, so the approvals would have been a little bit before they were actually
Yeah.
put in, so.
and who knows the quality that they could have achieved initially. I mean,
Yeah.
this was probably an accident waiting to happen for a long time. I can't believe they could have done a super quality. Well, I don't know, anything's possible, I guess.
As I said, I'm not going to point any I'm not going to offer any opinions on what could have, should have,
Yeah.
would have.
Right,
It is what happened.
right.
These are the wild cards we dealt.
These are the cards we're dealt. This is what keeps our jobs interesting. But, yes, I apologize to the board that it did go this high, but unfortunately, we had no other choice, and
And the nature of emergency work is, it has to be approved on scene at the spot, at the time, so it has to
and
go
we did
through.
utilize a time and material contract from the Village of Scarsdale, and the contractor as well, Morano Brothers, in good faith, did reduce the amount of the bill by, I believe, $11,000 as well, due to us having conversation.
What's the guarantee on the work?
Yes,
What is the guarantee?
there is no guarantee on the work. There is guarantee on workmanship, but once again, no different than any other municipal job. It's a one-year workmanship guarantee.
Wouldn't want to have to go back in there again.
Hopefully we don't. All right, any other questions or comments?
Trustee Epson?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee yes. Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you for seeing that project through. It's good to know that it's done. All right, administrators report.
Sure, and before I do, I just want to mention, so the resolution, the transfer to the capital projects fund, that, I just want to highlight, like I said, it was in the budget. This is something we do annually in the budget, just to clarify. And that is basically what it does, is it sets it up for the capital payments that are identified in the tentative budget for next year. So we do this every year, similar amounts, and that's what funds our capital going forward. So this is the time of year we do it, as we get to the close of this budget year and enter into the next. So just want to clarify that. Okay, so part of village law is that the budget has to be mentioned or identified in a public meeting, so before the end of this month. So tonight, I'm just going to give a very high-level overview of the budget. We're going to have a much more detailed discussion at the next meeting, but village law does require that it gets introduced at a public meeting. So
And you don't have your presentation.
that's for next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, that's next meeting. So this is just required to be a high-level introduction of the budget. So I just give a brief overview of it every year at the second meeting in March. So as per village law, the tentative budget was filed on March 20th, which is the deadline to file the tentative budget for villages with fiscal year starting June 1st. And now the tentative budget, which was prepared by me as budget officer and our treasurer, who works very hard on it throughout as well, since last December. Now it's the village board's budget. So it now leaves our hands and it goes to the village board for consideration, and the board can modify the budget in any way it sees fit. This is the fourth year in a row that we're using our digital budget book with ClearGov, which is really an online interactive, meant to be very transparent to the public. It's not just a flat PDF that we throw on our website. This is one that has a lot of good information, details, so residents hopefully have a good sense about where the money is being spent, where the revenues are coming from, and it's meant to give an overview of the Village of Rybrook as well as all of our finances, and we have a lot of information we put on the website. Budget work sessions are scheduled for Monday, March 30th and Monday, April 6th, both at 6 p.m., and there's different, on our website and posted, we've advertised, what departments are going to be discussed at each one of those budget work sessions. So typically, the administrator, the treasurer, and the departments all meet with the village board, go over their budget requests, we discuss what changes were made to their request, and then the board can make whatever other changes it desires. So the budget public hearing is scheduled for April 4th, and then the budget has to be adopted by May 1st, or the tentative budget, along with any other amendments that are made by the board, would become the budget if it's not adopted. Overview of the fiscal year 26-27 tentative budget. Again, we always try to have our same four goals we always try to do. We keep the taxes as low as possible, try to provide high-quality service, always try to reinvest in our infrastructure, and maintain fiscal stability. So again, we believe this budget does that. The tax levy is $20.5 million, and it's a 2.54% increase, which is tax compliant. It is tax cap compliant. It's under the tax cap by $5,330. We were allowed to go up to 2.57. That's the 14th time in 15 years that the tax cap has been in existence that we've been below the cap. The total operating budget, not including capital, is about $27.8 million. That's up 3.8%. There's about $1.5 million in capital projects fund that supports the total budget for a total budget of around $29.3 million. Good news for Rybrook is our assessed values are still going up, particularly on the residential side. The total assessed values are up about $193 million. That's a 5.3% increase in total assessed values. Homestead properties are up about 6%. Non-homesteads up about $3 million, so it's under 1%. So much higher escalation on the residential side of it. Total full-time positions is 77 employees. Technically, adopted budget to adopted budget, that's an increase of 1, but actually it's the same as what was approved in this year's amended budget, which added the school resource officer at the Portchester School District. So it's the same amount that was funded, which is mostly funded, the vast majority of that is funded by the school district. It's very heavy on capital. There's over $2 million in capital for 17 projects. With various funding sources. The largest is road resurfacing, which is increased next year to $740,000. There's the outdoor fitness studio, which is funded largely from the grant and mostly from a rec trust and some amount of from the village general fund, and 2 police vehicles, which is over $200,000 now, which gets very expensive for the vehicles. The average home price in Rybrook overall is $1,099,703. So it's it's almost 1.1 million. And that average property owner at that amount, with that amount of assessed value, would pay $5,400 per year in village taxes. That's an increase in about $132 over last year. It's about a 2.5% increase. Positives about the budget, we maintain a strong fund balance, reinvest in our infrastructure. We still remain extremely financially sound with a strong bond rating. 3.3 also on the New York State fiscal stress monitoring system. Again, 45 would mean that there's a concern or a warning. We're at 3.3. Lean, hardworking staff. The sales tax is still very significant. The extra 1% has been a big help for us that the county added a number of years ago. We provide, on the service level, the SRO is provided in both the Portchester High School and the middle school. 900 King Street has filed for permits and plan on demolishing the building this summer. That's a positive sign of things going forward. Concerns? The differential between homestead and non-homestead tax rates are still a concern. That's something that, that's why we're doing the moratorium. That's the things we're looking at about keeping that more stable. Interest rates are still high, but they're down slightly, so they're dropping a little bit. But what's happening there is, they are still a little bit down. So the mortgage tax is down. We have less inventory, less financing going on. As everybody knows, there's very little inventory in Rybrook. Not a lot of homes out there, and not a lot of refinancing going, with the rates still higher than they were a number of years ago. Health insurance is up about 8%, and retirement is getting way out of control with New York State. The employees are about 21% of payroll. Retirement is based on a percentage of your payroll. So for every dollar we spend in payroll, 21 cents goes for the employees. But on the police and fire side, it ranges the two highest groups, the two highest tiers is either 32% or over 40% now. That means 32 or 40 cents on every dollar spent is going for the police and fire retirement, which again is not set by Rybrook, it's set by New York State. The concern is the former Hilton and Drywood sites currently don't have applications submitted, so long term we're looking forward to getting those back on the roll in a more significant way. And looking forward to working with the departments, all the departments, the treasurer's office, my office, we're all really looking forward to work with the village board to help provide the information you need to adopt a final budget.
Thank you, Chris. And I know I've started looking over it, and we look forward to the conversations in the coming Mondays. Like Chris said, we will be having 2 public budget sessions this coming Monday, March 30th, and the following Monday. For some reason, the date is blanking on me, April 6th. The public is more than welcome to come and express your opinions. There is a schedule that's part of the public documents, and like we say, and we'll say multiple times between now and when we pass the budget, we really appreciate all the hard work that goes into this. It's not easy, especially in challenging conditions like we have right now, to put together a budget that hits those target goals, like Chris said, of making sure that we're providing services to the residents that people who live in Rybrook have come to expect, while also looking out for that bottom line of the taxes. I think, knowing that our village, on average, your village taxes are going up about $130, should help people rest a little easy. Knowing that, you compare to surrounding communities, your garbage is getting picked up, the streets are getting taken care of, that there is a quality police, fire, EMS service. They're going to respond to emergencies, and of course, our efficient village operations here in Village Hall. So thank you to Chris, thank you to Trish, Lawrence, everyone else involved, all the department heads, and we'll be spending a lot of time thanking all those people in the coming weeks.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, would you like to talk about home rule?
No, we're already past yeah, sure, as long as you got me started. It is within, as Chris said, 14 of the last 15 years, since the tax cap legislation has been in place. The Village of Rybrook has been compliant with that, the 1 year being when we had a major capital fund to fund our very much needed highway garage.
And the tax certs in the same year.
And
That
that's right,
one
and the
tax
tax
cert
certs.
problem up at Rexon.
So, and we do this to stay within the tax cap, which does represent unfunded mandates, or we were promised mandate relief, which we never got, and we are a home rule state, and yet the state has imposed this on us. But we do our part to look out for the residents of Rybrook, and that's really the guiding principle here anyway, staying within the tax cap to try and keep Rybrook affordable to the residents.
Well, I think, also, if I could just say, Mayor, the other thing I think the village board just should feel really good about is your commitment to reinvesting in capital and our infrastructure. It's not fun stuff to talk about all the time, sewers and roads and so forth, but that reinvestment in infrastructure is essential to keeping our costs down long-term and making sure that it maintains. So the board's support of our capital program has been such a wonderful thing over the years and helps more than people realize.
Yeah, and for people who don't realize, we are investing more than $500,000 every year into our road resurfacing program. And because of recent innovations and the use of AI software, we've been able to really stretch that dollar, really look at the road conditions throughout the village, and get that to a place where it's becoming better and better each year. And like Chris said, trying to avoid bigger problems down the line that would end up costing a lot more money, that we would
They were
then...
intended to, yeah.
Yeah, that we would then potentially have to look at ways to reduce services if we still wanted to be tax cap compliant. Any questions or comments? I know we have a lot of discussion on this forthcoming.
Lot forthcoming, not now.
So, all right, well, the next meetings of the Board of...
Couple of administrative report items, just real quick.
Oh, yeah.
So I have to mention,
I thought you were going to
real quick, 7th grade, so I'll be real quick.
I should have...
I'll hit it quick. 7th grade girls are in the finals tonight for the championship over at the county center. So by now, they probably are over, so I don't know how they did, but they're 7th graders playing in a 7th and 8th grade division, so they've done really well to get to the championship. So good luck to them. Hopefully they had a good night. Tomorrow, between 5 and 6 p.m., we're going to have a brief but fun Major League opening day for Major League Baseball starts tomorrow. So we get in Pine Ridge Park from 5 to 6. We'll have free hot dogs in the park. We always get a really big turnout. We'll have a speed pitch machine, so you can test that out. And it's a quick way to just kind of celebrate spring and the baseball season starting up, and celebrate our New York teams, which will hopefully do great this year. AJP, they also they had a program where they did Irish soda bread. Now they have another one coming up for homemade macaroons on Friday, May 27th. So if people are interested, that's been a really popular program, sells out really quick. So we have this limited attendance. So if you're interested in joining our culinary group, please call and sign up for that program. And lastly, they're also doing a spring intergenerational lawn cleanup for Rybrook senior citizens, and that is a program that is done between the village, working between the village and the Brownbrook PTA. On April 18th, with a rain date of April 19th, they're going to do this cleanup day. So if people have interest in having their leaves raked or clean out their flower beds or sweeping off different areas, you need a little bit of extra help from some of the youth in the community. It's a great way for seniors to get some help on a particular cleanup day. And if you have a task that's interested, we ask them to call Liz Rodfeld at our AJP Community Center and let her know what things are out there, what services they could use on their property, and they'll try to match up a volunteer to try to take those tasks. And lastly, we have our Easter egg hunt this Saturday between 10 and 11 a.m. at Pine Ridge Park. That also is very heavily attended, and it goes really well. So a fun event as well. And sign up, pre-registration is mandatory. And I got a note that the 7th grade girls just won the county center basketball tournament. They won big, 32-18.
Whoa.
Wow.
And that's a good night, and said nice.
In the past, we've brought in some of the winning.
Yeah, we have.
We have to.
I think we should as well. So
I think so too.
that would be.
So I just got a note from Bert that said that they won.
That's
Look at that, great
amazing.
timing for that text. And I will certainly do my best to make it to the events, the recreation events. I
Sounds
can't
good.
guarantee anything. It depends on the kindness of others. All right. Any other questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, the next special meetings of the Board of Trustees are March 30th and April 6th, 2026, and our next village board meeting will be on April 14th. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.
Good night.